The story begins in the city of Los Angeles. On the night of December 23rd, the sky suddenly. Someone fell to the ground and woke up. I saw that he was in a deserted street when the big feathers on the back opened up for a human being. No, but there was an angel descended from heaven. His name is Michael. He pulled out his knife. And suddenly his wings were cut off with pain, fell down, and the golden ball of his head disappeared into an iron bracelet. After that, he went to the roof of a building. He broke the glass and entered it, killing the security guard in moments. He stole the clothes and then went to the bathroom. So he got the first aid kit, with the help of which he inflicted wounds on his broken wings. Well, now he dressed the guard's clothes. Dressed and reached a room that was all around. It was loaded with guns and weapons. He collected a lot of weapons, and here I was ready to get out, but the door was closed, so with his own strength, he made a tremendous explosion. There was a cross-like hole in the door at the same time. 2 police officers saw him coming out. He pulled out his guns and arrested him. Proceeded to the trick by Michael. A policeman grabbed from his gun. He snatched it and stood as his shield. At that moment, suddenly another policeman was attacked. And soon he became a terrifying predator. His teeth turned into extremely sharp and his eyes darkened, and then he made a heavy sound. I asked Michael about my orders. Regardless, what are you doing here? He said that he no longer listens to anyone's orders. He will go his own way. He will do it on his own, cop says. I thought you were with that kid too. And that's when he opened fire. Michael went straight to the other policeman. To save your life, he went crazy. Shooting at a policeman and killing him. He dropped and then ran himself into the police car. Turns out Charlie was actually pregnant, but this kid wasn't from the Jeep, but he was still there. I wanted to take care of this child. The next day, Charlie took the Jeep to his father. I went to Bob's restaurant for a while. Then a man named Kyle came to the restaurant. Because he had lost his way and his phone. It wasn't working either. Besides, there was and the family whose car was also stopped. It was damaged and the Jeep was supposed to fix it. When Bob went up to him, he saw that Jeep is not fixing the car. Instead of an old crib of a child, it is fine. He was looking at her between Bob and the Jeep. The argument started because Bob believed, why should you raise someone else's child? Then Jeep changed the matter and told them that he has been having very strange dreams for a few days. Because of which Charlie's defense inside him, the desire to do, is awake, but Bob just irritated by his words. Inside the restaurant, he went there and saw that on TV. When the signal was not coming, he turned on the TV. If slammed 2 or 3 times, then an emergency message. At the same time, the Jeep appeared outside the sky. I saw a bunch of dark clouds that every moment Bob was growing up here in the raster. Tried to turn on the radio and phone, but no one. There was no signal in the name Gladys at the same time. An old lady came into the restaurant and gave her, after placing the order, all the people present there. Charlie started talking to Gladys. When Gladys brought her food, I asked her about her pregnancy. Then suddenly Gladys said that her child, Charlie Hucka, will be consumed. By hearing this, she was stunned, and then Gladys once again. He said the same horrible thing to everyone present there. He was surprised to hear her words, and then Charlie. After that, she left the place in anger. Gladys' food was filled with flies and without thinking, she began to eat it. She said again that the child will be consumed. This time Sandra, a woman named him, told him to keep quiet, but then Gladys' eyes turned black and Sandra's husband started abusing her. Howard steps forward to support his wife. Suddenly, Gladys jumped on him and he bit her on the neck, cut off a piece of mass and threw it away on the table. He said, "All of you will be killed." At the sight of it, Cook Percy looked at him from a distance. He threw a pen that went straight to his head. Gladys didn't even get a scratch when all of a sudden she jumped up and started ringing on the ceiling. Then Bob said that but he opened fire but somehow escaped. Then he suddenly jumped down on Bob. The Jeep attacked and threw him down. He quickly picked up the gun and pointed it at Gladys. Gladys said you never saved her, and after hearing this, the Jeep was deposited there. At that moment, Gladys slid on the Jeep, proceeded to attack, but suddenly Kyle fired smoke at him from behind. They drove him to death here. Howard's daughter Audrey hides in a corner. After this, there was bleeding from the roof. Everyone saw that Howard had too much blood. He was swept away, so they did it immediately. Lay down in the car and find the hospital. They set out, but in no time they were in front of them. A terrifying whirlwind of black insects appeared from every single little hole that was given in a few moments. The whole car was infested with insects. It was filled up so that all the people sitting inside were badly panicked. In the raster there, I panicked the Jeep. Bob was vomiting because he tried to calm her down. I heard the sound of the car coming back. Bob ran out immediately, but he saw a swarm of insects came towards them from afar. Well, after a while, he did Gladys. When the corpse was taken out of the resto, they were taken out. A police car was seen approaching. It was none other than Michael. When he got out, Bob pointed a gun at him, but then Michael gave them his teeth. Showed up that weren't sharp. Then Bob asked him. When they talked, Kakal realized that these people don't know what the world is. The end has begun. He snatched the gun from Bob and pointed it at him. Just then, Percy interrupted and tried to calm him down. I tried it again after thinking for a while. Michael told him that just like Gladys, humans are soon here to attack them. Then Michael returned Bob's gun. And take out the weapon from your car. Divided, but he cautioned Charlie. He said that in any case, his don't put life in jeopardy. Hurriedly entered the restaurant and was there. All with the help of tables and chairs. The windows and doors were closed and now they have them. There was no choice but to wait then. As night fell, the electricity went off. So all the men went to the roof so that they could. You can keep an eye on enemies in a short time. They saw an ice cream truck approaching. And as soon as his driver got out, his mouth began to scream very loudly. And the arms and legs became much longer and then he attacks them very fast on us. At that moment they all joined him and looked at him. He opened fire and he was in a few forces. He was killed, but the danger was still not over. Because from afar it is full of monsters like that. The cars were coming towards them when Michael told everyone to fire at them. This caused some cars to collide with each other. There were tremendous explosions, then Michael. Another explosion with the help of a rocket launcher. A large truck crashed into the middle of the road. He fell and the rest of the cars collided with him. Now the rest of the vehicles are out of the way. Michael left and started walking towards the diner. Her team noticed that children were also involved. But Michael explained to them that these children he is no longer human, he is constantly on enemies. They kept attacking, causing piles of corpses to be found there. Gone, but still a monster broke the window. He sneaked in and hid in the darkness. I couldn't see where he was shot. Let's run this monster and take advantage of this opportunity. He picked up Howard and dragged him away. The women rushed to help him, but at that moment a monster's eyes fell on Charlie and he picked it up and walked away, when Michael called at the last moment. But he killed that monster and Charlie saved the life of the enemy, but in this affair the enemy Howard has now been taken prisoner by Michael. Shots were fired at the windows, causing someone to. And Munster couldn't get in. Sandra here. When her husband Howard was kidnapped, I was looking like crazy, so Michael he explained to him that Howard was gone. Scolding Charlie too for any kind of after being told to stay away from the risk, Bob. He came in the middle and asked him if all this was going on. What is happening? Then Michael revealed this, that God hates humans now. And he wants all humans from the earth. Let the savages who attack them be eliminated. They are coming to do all of God's angels. Michael is behaving like this out of control. He said that he himself is an angel of God. It used to be that some people didn't believe it. It happened that the angels could do that, and Bob, I didn't even believe in God then. Michael said that even God is now humanity. I can't believe it after all. Told that, and here is Charlie's child to be protected. He has come to do it because he is the one who has brought humanity. The last hope to save someone now is, whether they believe in God or not, they together to save Charlie's baby monsters will have to face at this time. Charlie was in his 8th month. He said the child was going to die on Christmas Day tomorrow. After some time, the Jeep will be born alone. I went and asked Michael more about him. Michael said that he was in God's army. He used to be a general, but when God he ordered the destruction of humanity, so he left the army and came here. God has lost faith in humanity, but his faith is still firm today. Hatred and darkness all around the world. But Michael was pretty sure. There is still humanity in people. He will do everything he can to save them. Then in the morning, Bob and Michael stood guard on the roof. And then Michael began to remember that's how it all started when Michael, refusing to obey God's commands, Archangel Gabriel gave it to him. Tried to explain that this punishment to humans, it is because of their deeds that they are getting, but Michael believed that it was the work of the angels. Explain to human beings and show them the right path. Finish them off, and then he saw that thousands of angels descended from heaven to earth. And then Gabriel said to him, whether he likes it or not, now the war, it has started in the racer there. Sandra felt like someone was calling her. And then immediately his eyes opened. When Kerr went to look through the back door, he realized it happened that the voice was Howard's by Sandra. From the window I saw Howard on a cross. He was hung upside down and his body was covered with blisters. He was badly filled with pain. He was pleading with Sandra for help. So Sandra panicked and hurried to the table. Kyle and Audrey were removing the chairs. When he came to stop her, Sandra told him to. Then she pushed to save her husband. Ran on the outside for her blisters. They were about to explode at any moment, then there was no time. Just in time, Percy came there and became Sandra's shield. And at that moment Howard's blisters burst and all the acid fell on Percy. He ran. He brought Sandra back inside, and then suddenly, it was only when he fell to the ground that he was killed. All the flesh in his back was sucked out of the acid. And the bones were melted when Bob got the news of it. When he missed his friend a lot. He cried that he felt responsible for all of this. Because he was in the turn to be guarded. I slept well, here, and the rest of the people got together. Sandra was tied to a chair because she was getting out of her temper again. Audrey tried to feed him something. Sandra began to put all the blame on him. I was going to another city in your affair. Well, after some time the signal came in the radio. So he got the news that he survived. Like him, people took place in different places across the country. Army to face these monsters. Now they had all created an army of these people. Michael thought of joining, but he didn't want to join. Flatly refused, because like this attacking Charlie for monsters. Well, then the restaurant at night will be easy. The light came on and then a car came on from the front. Kyle and Audrey appeared to be attacking. They were ready, but then they felt that the man and his son were probably normal, so he put down his gun. This was also a trick of those monsters. Monsters also restored power to the restaurant. It was delivered so that everyone would feel that things, they're getting better and they're coming out from the inside. Well, Kyle jumped off the roof at that moment and they started firing on the enemies. Here in the restaurant, Bob goes out and I wanted to help, but Michael did it. He pointed a gun at him and said if he opened the door, so all of them will be killed. Killed the monsters and then that kid. But then he realized that it was the child has also become a monster when suddenly the child bit Kyle on the neck and hit him. Seeing this, Audrey also died. She couldn't stop herself and angrily hit the roof. She jumped and started attacking the other monsters. After a while, when his bullets ran out, she ran away and hid in a car. The enemies surrounded him from all sides. Here in the restaurant, Charlie is out of his temper. Because Michael was trying to save them. He is not doing anything now. He himself goes out. If threatened to confront the monsters, Michael stopped him now that he had there was no choice, so he took up arms himself. He came out and attacked in the best way. He was dusting his enemies while doing so. Then as soon as he reached the gas pump, he set fire to the gas pipe and attacked the monsters. Rained down the fire so that all the monsters retreated. Then Michael comfortably crossed the fire, reached the car and saved Audrey. He brought it out safely, and then at the last moment, they escaped the explosion and entered the restaurant. Then Charlie went to the kitchen to get water. I saw that the monster child had come in. Suddenly, he attacked Charlie with a knife. She was a little injured, but he used a tray as a shield to defend himself. The knife hit the tray and returned to the child's hand. Then his fingers were cut off. Charlie pushed him down. And at the same time, the lights went out, then all of them. If the blood was chased with the help of a flashlight. They were given child's handprints on the ceiling. Suddenly, the child came out of the darkness. Bob jumped on his back and tried to kill him. At that very moment, Michael tried that monster. Thrown away and the jeep fired at him. He killed her in Charlie's stomach at the same moment. The tremendous pain began to be Michael and Audrey. She encouraged him to help in the birth of the child. At the same time, the whole sky bells loudly. The sound of the jeep on the roof was echoing in. As Bob sat down, there was a sudden thunderclap, so that they saw the ground in front and. Seeing such a dreadful scene, his blood dried up thousands in front of them. The monsters were standing while Charlie inside, after a lot of effort, a healthy boy. She gave birth but still held the baby. She refused, she wanted Michael to do this. Take care of the baby with you, but Michael explained to him that it was. It's your journey and you're the one who completes it. After this, Audrey will have to take the child. When she went to Sandra, her heart melted. She remembered her duty as a mother. Apologies to Audrey for her rude behavior. But at the same time, he slowly stretched the ropes. I was trying to open it again when he started crying, all the monsters outside. His voice was heard, and his head was heard. It started hurting when suddenly a loud bell rang. And Michael told everyone to be ready because Gabriel is trying to finish everything. It was only when I was coming that everyone realized that the real mission of the angels is to kill this kid. But Michael said that this child was born, it wasn't going to happen, but now it's going to be born. The future and gods will have changed. Hearing this, Charlie began to pick up his son. But at the same time, Sandra opened her hands. He snatched this child, saving your life by handing over to the monsters, but then the sound of bells was too loud. And the outside door was shattered with a bang. Then Michael shot at Sandra and killed her. Killed so that the child was going to fall down, but the jeep caught him at the last moment. After Gabriel opened his big wings, he entered, and everyone was terrified to see. Suddenly he attacked his tongue with his ass, but when he turned around and escaped, Bob. Gabriel was shot at, but he began to move around with his wings as a shield and so on. During this, he stabbed Bob in the stomach. Then Gabriel picked it up and threw it in the kitchen. The jeep ran to help him. Michael interrupted her with the child. He told me to run away. He wanted the jeep to run away. Finding the prophet and reading its orders, jeep didn't understand what he was saying. Well, then Audrey, Charlie, and the kids walked out the back door, where all the monsters bowed their heads in their glory. No one attacked them and let them see the way and let them go. Immediately got in the car and set out in the restore. Michael said to Gabriel that he doesn't care about his life anymore because now. Gale lashed out when the baby was safe. I came and attacked him with a deadly attack. Michael also started firing bullets. Gabriel began to spin constantly so that he could. Only if he could attack Michael with donkeys and wings. Suddenly, the donkey and the gun collided and Gabriel hits Michael against the wall. Then Gabriel pointed his mace with an axe, attacked Michael by changing into. He also retorted angrily and a TV hit Gabriel on the head, then both of them. They fought like that for a while, but suddenly, Gabriel saw the opportunity and stabbed his wing. I cut Michael's stomach off, but he didn't stop and jumped on Gabriel. Gabriel immediately started choking. He flew upstairs with Michael and threw him to the roof. But he finally gave up his mace. After the last blow, Michael was killed. Gabriel wept over his brother's death. Then Michael's corpse disappeared as a light. On the other hand, we see that the jeep's some lines started forming on the side automatically, and he understood that it was Michael's order there. Gabriel heard a voice and I went into the kitchen and saw that Bob was still alive. Suddenly, Bob lit a lighter near the oven. Gabriel's explosion made a tremendous explosion. All the monsters outside as well as his grip Gabriel escaped the explosion. He left and in a few moments, the jeep car was gone. The jeep came close and started attacking him. He opened fire causing him to slip into the car. Bullets stuck in the back part. Gabriel was not having any effect on him. Then he got into the car and he stabbed her unconscious. After she snatched the child, her tongue suddenly, Audrey regained consciousness. I came and asked the jeep to apply the brakes and as soon as he did so, the windshield of the